Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Just Saying Football with Jack and Sean. I'm your host, Sean Gannon, alongside my partner, Jack McNicholas. We're here to bring you news, notes, weekly updates, and game analysis of your favorite teams from around the league. If you had not had the chance, go check out our website at justsayingfootball.com and follow us on Instagram at justsaying, for article and video updates. Week 9 continues on Sunday at 1 o'clock, but let's just jump right into it to an NFC South matchup. We have the Atlanta Falcons heading to New Orleans to take on the Saints. A little bit injury news. Jameis Winston tore ACL. He is out for the season. A lot of people are expecting Taysom Hill to maybe step up. It's going to be the Trevor Siemian show in this one. Break that down for us.
Yeah, and, to add on to extra injury news for the Saints, Michael Thomas will not be returning this season. He had a setback with his season surgery last year. And then you have, on the other side, Atlanta, Calvin Ridley taking time off from football. He will not be, again, playing this week. So it's a very interesting matchup for me right now with these two. I mean, when you look at it, the Saints in the last 5 games against this division rival, they're 4-1. Atlanta in those games has, never, the last 3 games, New Orleans has won straight. New Orleans scored over 20 and allowed less than 20. So it's kind of tough because New Orleans this year, they have you, looking out at their defense.
Yeah, I'm looking at this, and you got to highlight Kyle Pitts, who's looking like he's going to be the wide receiver 1 for the team, even though he's a tight end, but because of his speed, which means he's going to get Marshawn Lattimore, and then he's going to have to deal with Demario Davis on the underneath coverage. Yeah. So I'm not seeing a lot of movement here for this Falcons team. I don't expect a big game from Cordell Patterson or Russell Gage. I think this is going to be the Saints show. They're coming off of a huge win up against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers last week. Mm-hmm. I just think that momentum's kind of going their way. We saw that Trevor Siemian was able to move the offense around here and there. Yeah. And I think that's going to be enough to get it done in this home game. If Calvin Ridley was in, might be slightly more of a ball game, but I can see this being, a 10-point difference in scoring practically.
Yeah, and shutting down Kyle Pitts is going to be the key for them. I think that New Orleans, especially being at home, it's very hard to pick against them. And the way their defense has been playing, allowing only the fourth least amount of points on the season right now, only allowing about 18 points a game. Atlanta on the other side, almost allowing about 30 at the bottom of the barrel. So I think Trevor Siemian's going to have a good matchup for him to get it done. And I like the New Orleans defense at home this week, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, moving on. Denver Broncos going to Dallas to take on the Cowboys. More news for the Broncos. They traded away all-world player Von Miller to the LA Rams. The rich just keep getting richer.
Yeah.
Only in exchange for a 3rd and a 6th-round pick in 2022, which doesn't seem like enough for him. No. But their defense is going to be without Bradley Chubb and Miller for the foreseeable future. What are your thoughts on this game?
Yeah, I mean, when you look at the injuries to that defense, you look at Dallas's offense right now, the 3rd-ranked offense when it comes to, points per game, averaging over 32, and when it comes to the pass yard, they're 3rd. When it comes to the rushing game, they're 2nd best. So you're looking at this Dallas offense and what they're able to do. You even saw, unfortunately for you last week, we saw the Cooper Rush show, and it was unfortunate when you look at it like, wow, they have Dak in this one, and he's looking good, but it's very, very tough. When you're looking at, the Dallas offense against, a defense that's kind of depleted. And then this Denver team, after starting 3-0, they had 4 straight losses, and then they beat Washington last week. I see this as another unfavorable matchup for them.
Yeah, absolutely. Dak coming back, that's, potential MVP, looking like the definite comeback player of the year for sure this year. That offense, the way they've been operating last week against my Vikings was great, regardless of not even having Dak Prescott. 16 carries for 50 yards for Ezekiel Elliott. I wouldn't really throw any red flags at that one. You're bound to just have that one slowdown game against a certain team. Just happened to be against the Vikings. Expect him to pick it right back up this week with no Miller and no Chubb, like you and I have been talking about. Yeah. This offense is legit. This defense, they may not have any real stars and studs outside of Lawrence and Diggs, but they play like a team and they play like a unit, and that's all you can ask for. That's the Dan Quinn way. That's what made the Legion of Boom so good during his time in Seahawks. At first they weren't stars, but they played together. They made each and every single one of them stars. So I like this Cowboys team for sure in this one. So let's just jump right into the next game. We have the New England Patriots taking on the Carolina Panthers. Now, I just have to mention something. Sam Darnold did play with the Jets before, so he should have seen a lot of the Patriots. That being said, he only saw 3 games during his 3 years there. He missed a game every single year up against the Patriots. During that time, he is 0-3. Bill Belichick beat him 38-3, 33-0, and 28-14. He has a whopping 53% completion and 519 yards with 1 touchdown to 6 interceptions. This is an interesting game because you want to say, well, that was Adam Gase. This is Sam Darnold now with all these playmakers. But
Yeah.
Bill Belichick schemes, man. That's what he does. That's what Bill is known for. And I'm taking the Patriots in this one. I think that he is going to scheme around Sam Darnold. He's going to make the quarterback uncomfortable. It's not going to allow DJ Moore, Robbie Anderson, who hasn't been around, Christian McCaffrey, if he's back, it's looking like he could play this weekend, or Chuba Hubbard. I just don't think that they're really going to get the ball going. I think that he's going to take away your quarterback, and it's going to make the offense that much harder to move the ball.
Yeah, for me, I like Carolina in this one. Weirdly, it's because of their defense. They have the second, best passing defense. They have the fifth best scoring defense. New England, they have the eighth. This is going to be a low scoring game. Both of these defenses are really good. But when it has to come down to, Sam Darnold and his weapons, especially if McCaffrey's there for me, and then you have, Mac Jones with his weapons, I think that when you look at Jacoby Myers on, former Patriots Stephon Gilmore now with the Panthers, tough secondary to go up against for him. I do believe Matt Rule, it's tough, at home. I do like the Panthers in this one, definitely. I like what, even though DJ Moore has slowed down, Robbie Anderson hasn't looked himself over the last couple weeks. I think that this is a weird get right game for them. The Patriots, though, they are storming right now. They have been doing well, over their last couple of weeks, despite some tough matchups. They have won 2 straight. I do think that with the Panthers here, I do like this pick this week. I'm going to go with them.
Yeah, one thing to keep in mind is that although the Patriots are 4-4, they're a surprisingly good 4-4. They're a little quiet. They play the Browns and the Falcons next. Both two beatable teams given the state of their rosters right now. If they win this game against the Panthers, they jump out to 7-4. Yes, this is definitely the Bills division. I'm not saying they're going to somehow take that away from the Bills, but all of a sudden they become a contender for the playoffs later on in the season. This is an opportunity with a weaker schedule, with the way that the Panthers are playing, to really jump out in front. And I think you're right. It is going to be low scoring, but Bill Belichick does not care about the score of the game. All that matters is the W in the category. That's what matters to him. So moving on, we got the Minnesota Vikings, my squad, heading out to Baltimore to take on the Ravens. Now, I will be at that game. All right. I am going with my dad and my uncles. It should be a lot of fun to watch my team lose. We don't have Daniil Hunter. He tore his pec. He's going to be out for the season. Hopefully, Michael Pierce is able to play because he was a free agent brought in from the Ravens, actually. But I'm definitely going with the Ravens in this one. They are playing great football on all phases. I will say about the Vikings is our offense hasn't looked great the way that it did at the very beginning of the season. And what do the Vikings do when our offense doesn't look great? We go back to the run. We run Dalvin Cook. But I just need to point out that it's the Ravens who have the 4th best rush defense. So, for the game where it's like we're going to run the ball a lot, this is not the defense you want to do it against.
Yeah, tough matchup. I think that the one thing that is really going to be an advantage for Kirk Cousins and your offense is the pass game. Right now, shockingly, the Ravens are allowing the most amount of pass yards per game on defense. It's a pretty great matchup for your guys, Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen. I feel like we talk about them every week, but they give us a reason to talk about them every week because they're so freaking good at what they do. And when it comes down to it, Minnesota is middle of the pack right now when it comes to scoring, but we have seen them boom in big games, especially I'm thinking about the Cardinals game earlier this year, where they were able to, keep it close in a high scoring affair. I would love to see Dalvin Cook have a big one in this. This is a tough defense, as you said, Baltimore 4th best rushing defense. But I do like Baltimore at home. I'm loving them coming off the bye and, what Hollywood Brown, Mark Andrews were looking like before the bye. And, the Ravens defense has improved, getting better in a lot of different aspects this year. So I will go with them at home in this week. Sorry, buddy.
No, it's totally okay. And, one thing I want to point out, last week, the Vikings only had 2 passes over 15 or more yards. This is an opportunity, hopefully, for them to throw the ball a little bit more downfield. I think what we see now in the NFL especially is if you're not able to throw the ball deep downfield consistently, you're not willing to let your star players, in this case, Adam Thielen and Justin Jefferson, go after the 50-50 balls downfield, probably aren't going to put up a lot of points, probably aren't going to be winning a lot of games if you're not able to throw the ball downfield. Mm-hmm. We're seeing a little bit less and less West Coast offense, a lot of these deep shots downfield. So hopefully this is at least an opportunity for them to right some wrongs that we're seeing in the offense and make it somewhat of a game. I'm still going to enjoy it. Love seeing my team, but moving on, we have the Cleveland Browns going to Cincinnati to take on the Bengals. The AFC North, man, it is just getting tighter and tighter no matter what happens. A surprise loss to the Jets last week by the Bengals.
Yeah, and we got to see the Jets last night, and they obviously did not look like they did against the Bengals due to Mike White being out. But one thing is, this Bengals team, they have really put themselves in a spot. As you mentioned, the AFC North division right now is tight. We got Cleveland at 4-4, Steelers 4-4, and they're at the bottom of the division right now. And as you mentioned, it just is such an interesting determining factor for how this division outlook could be for the rest of the year. And I'm really excited for this Chubb Mixon battle. Like, these are two awesome running teams, and we never really get that anymore.
No, absolutely. These are two really solid running teams. Bit of news for the Browns that just happened today. I can't believe we didn't even start the show with this. Odell Beckham, just for some reason, it didn't even occur to me, but Odell Beckham Jr. Has been released by Cleveland. There were some trade talks about maybe going to New Orleans, but the problem was that contract and how much each team would have to pay, and ended up not working out. It seems like there has been some sort of agreement with compensation for OBJ about how much they're going to pay him. Details still have yet to be released, but he is no longer a member of the Browns. He will not be active on Sunday. He still has to clear waivers and get picked up by a wide receiver needy team. There are tons of teams out there that want a talent like OBJ, but I gotta lean with the Bengals in this one. I don't trust the passing offense right now of the Browns. Baker is really beaten up. His entire left shoulder and left side, it seems like, is just completely bruised and damaged, and it's not giving him the turn that he needs with it. And thank goodness his throwing arm else be that much worse. But expect a lot of Chubb, a lot of Kareem Hunt. I do expect a lot of Mixon for the Bengals, but I just think that this is a good bounce back game for the Bengals for sure. And this is an opportunity to kind of beat up on your division opponent who's getting hit with injuries, releasing some top players, aren't performing the way that they do, but that doesn't mean to take this defense lightly. That defense has still kept them in games. And you can go back to the Steelers game last week where, although their offense didn't put up a lot of points, that defense was there through all 4 quarters.
Yeah. And, the one thing with the Browns, as you mentioned, these injuries, they're just starting to pile up. You have Jarvis coming in and out. Kareem Hunt, who was kind of a security blanket in the past game for Baker Mayfield, is now gone as well for a couple of weeks with injuries. So, and Baker, it's crazy because you're 8 games in, he only has 6 passing touchdowns. I feel like if it wasn't Baker Mayfield doing this, we would be in absolute shock. You would be like, oh, if any other quarterback of his type of caliber had these stats for the games, you'd have to be questioning his talent at the moment. Of course, he's injured. But there's so many injuries going on, so much uncertainty. And on the other side with the Bengals, even though the Browns defense is good, the Bengals offense is awesome this year. They're top 10, when it comes to, the points scored, and they're 6th best in defensive points allowed. So I do like the Bengals in this one when you're looking at it. The Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, they look unstoppable this year.
Yeah, it's a great offense. They're tons of fun to watch. And LSU wide receivers have been showing out this year, mainly talking about Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson. But moving on, we have the Buffalo Bills heading to Jacksonville, taking on the Jaguars. I'm going Bills in this one. They have the number 1 scoring offense, number 1 scoring defense. James Robinson has a heel injury. This offense for the Jaguars is just it's not quite there yet. I like that Lawrence isn't afraid to take shots deep downfield, but we saw them up against the Seahawks team just getting destroyed. I don't like the Bills for them this week. I gotta stick with Buffalo for sure.
Yeah, it's pretty straightforward with this one with Buffalo. Right now, when you just look at them on paper, it is absolutely ridiculous what they've been doing. They are top 10 in both rushing and passing on the offense. They are top 5 in rushing defense. They are the best passing defense in the league. I don't think that this is going to be, Trevor Lawrence's, great opportunity to win right now. Josh Allen's just playing way too good. One thing about this game that's interesting, Stephon Diggs, your guy, has now scored 2 games in a row. Does he get a third one before we move on?
Yeah, absolutely. I think he does. This is a pretty weak secondary. I expect Beasley, Sanders, and Diggs to each get 1, honestly, this week. I think this is going to be kind of like a share the love weekend. And let's keep our eyes out for Devin Singletary and Zach Moss. I think you and me especially, I've talked about this off camera to you and to our fantasy chat. The Bills are 1 running back away from being just an all around on all phases of the ball, on offense, defense, special teams, and what they can do, just being the best team purely. Their only problem to me is that they don't quite have that running back, if that backfield solidified. And if they were able to, maybe it's the draft this year, maybe it's a free agent that just happens to work, maybe it's a practice squad guy who comes up and just grinds hard, but they're that 1 back away from being that offensive defense. You're like, I don't want to play you. You can do whatever you want at any time. But let's keep moving on. We have the Houston Texans going to Miami to face the Dolphins. This is not the prettiest matchup of the weekend for sure.
Yeah.
I don't know who I'm going with yet, so why don't you start first so I can get an idea?
Oh man, the pressure's on me. I mean, this is, as you said, this game is not pretty. You don't want to, this is a 1-7 team versus a 1-7 team, and they're playing in Houston. Where there's basically not a lot of fans in the stadium this year, and the one thing for me I'm looking at is now, Mark Ingram has been moved from the Texans. Are we going to finally see David Johnson return to form or Philip Lindsay get involved at all? I think this is a tough one because usually with the Texans, we're like, here's a bright spot, Brandon Cooks. But the bright spot on Miami has always been their two star corners, Byron Jones, Xavier Howard. I think that if they shut him down, they shut Davis Mills down, this whole offense collapses. Miami's defense has been bad, but only in really bad matchups because they've had a really tough schedule this year. So I'm going with Miami on this one. I think Jalen Waddle could have a huge game. The Texans are bad. They are, 28th when it comes to scoring, 29th when it comes to giving up yards. That's out of 32. It's not pretty. They are bottom of the barrel in almost everything. So I'm looking at, big Tua Jalen Waddle game this week, and Miami definitely taking the win. I'm going with that.
Yeah, I like Tua, I like Gesicki, I like Waddle in this matchup. Just did some research looking like it is going to be Tyrod Taylor in.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just I don't want to, but I'm going to. I'll go with the Texans just to defer from you.
I like that.
Yeah.
Could be the call of the weekend.
if they happen to win, I'll brag away, and if they don't, then I'll revert back to what I said, which is I just had to pick someone different from you.
You could go down in history this weekend though as the one guy who picked them and looked like an
the solo dolo pick. Yeah, look at no, don't look at the entire clip. Just read. I pick the Texans. Just only care about that. All right, moving on. We have the Las Vegas Raiders heading to New York to take on the Giants. And yes, I am wearing some Giants gear today. This is a little bit of Marvel crossover, as you can see the classic Iron Man and Scarlet Witch. Big news for you guys after Saquon Barkley was on the COVID list a little bit this week because he's fully vaccinated and he did test positive. If you test negative within 24 hours, you are allowed back in the facility. It was a false positive. He did test negative 2 more times since then. He's back with the team. Ankle's fully healthy. It's looking like he's going to start this weekend. And now with OBJ on the waivers, Giants are sitting at 6. Who knows? Maybe OBJ comes back to New York. I don't know. It would just be a lot of fun. But your thoughts on this game going up against Derek Carr and Darren Waller?
Yeah. And, unfortunate situation for the Raiders earlier this week. Obviously, there's the Henry Ruggs situation with the DUI. That's totally, just an absolutely insane thing that's going on off the field. And right now the Raiders are going to have to go into this game kind of carrying, knowing that there is like a key piece missing for them. But as you mentioned, I think that this is a time now for the Raiders offense to shift where Darren Waller is going to be more involved than ever. And the Giants linebackers are as more injured than they have ever really been. The one tough thing here I'm looking to interestingly see is, Derek Carr, Daniel Jones. When you put those guys together, I don't know who I actually like more,
I would stick with Derek Carr personally. No offense to Daniel Jones. This season he's been much better than he has been in the past, but I think we've seen Carr consistent improvements every single year. He's in the league, or not leading the league. He's top 5 in passing yards, which is exactly what you want to see. The last time the Raiders, with everything that was going on with John Gruden, we had picked the Broncos because of that. I'm going to go with the Raiders. This is a team that has been dealing with a lot of adversity with off the field issues, with both players and coaching staff. And it seems like time and time again, they've been able to overcome as a team. I'm going to trust that this year. I'm going to believe in them again for this week. And I'm going to take the Raiders in this one. I'm sorry, buddy. They got a solid defense. Max Crosby is having a hell of a year coming into his third year now. Defense looks solid. Darren Waller, like you mentioned, should be a huge focal point of this game. I do expect a lot of Josh Jacobs with no Henry Ruggs. Rely a little bit more on that running game. Expect some more Bryan Edwards. Expect some more Hunter Renfrow. And expect a lot of Darren Waller because he is going to be the number 1 target for sure for the Raiders moving forward. If he wasn't already considered it.
Yeah, I mean Hunter Renfrow right now, definitely somebody who's been benefiting, from Derek Carr this year. Right now he's leading the team in catches. Even though Darren Waller has more targets, he's still leading the team in catches with 38. He has almost 400 yards, 2 touchdowns. I would like to see him get involved this week. The Giants secondary will be out without Xavier McKinney this week. Their second-year safety due to COVID. So, right now I do like the Raiders in this one. Especially what I liked what I saw out of the Giants defense last week. They got scrappy, but there are also a line there where you have to say, where was it that Kansas City was just making consistent mistakes against the Giants? The one tough thing I will take the Raiders is to the health injuries right now. Kenny G is still out. Sterling Shepard's going to be out again now. Kadarius Toney got hurt last week. We'll see his status this weekend. He's a game-time decision. And then Dante Pettis, who we signed 2 weeks ago, also got hurt. So big issues right now for the Giants' health. Saquon coming back, they'll probably do a 50-50 split with Booker. Not a huge fan of that. Definitely going more towards the Raiders. I expect a big week from Josh Jacobs, too. I haven't really seen too much from him this year. Would love to see a big game from him, man.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's tough this season with the injuries. When looking at your roster and the Browns, like 2 teams that it just can't seem to get away from it. And when you have your entire wide receiving core and linebacking core pretty much injured out for the year, those are 2 key position groups that you need for the entire season to stay as healthy as possible. You guys did sign Pharaoh Cooper this week.
Speedy guy.
Yeah, potential for him to be on the roster for sure. He is a former Pro Bowl kick returner, only 26 years old, has a lot to offer. Yeah. This is going to be a tough matchup for you guys going back-to-back AFC West opponents, but that is all the time that we have. Thank you everyone for listening, and thank you everyone for tuning in.
Yeah, thank you guys all for checking this out. Enjoy these Sunday games. Check us out, justsayingfootball.com, Just Saying Football on YouTube, and Just Saying No GWJS on Instagram for all your video and article updates. Thank you guys for watching.
Thank you. Enjoy.